Hi everybody, Max Simon here from Green Flower, and welcome to another live class. If you're new here, the purpose of these classes is to bring you the world's top cannabis experts to really help you learn everything there is to know about this incredible plant. And today, we're going to be talking about a women's salon for cannabis, but more specifically what that means is how you can use cannabis for all sorts of everyday things that women and men, but mostly women, tend to go through. You know, most people don't realize that cannabis could be a far superior alternative to things that are in the medicine cabinet or things that we usually reach to soothe our aches, pains, or everyday situations in life. And I'm really thrilled to have a new friend here, Andrea Brooks, who's the founder of Get Sava. It's an online marketplace here in California that has been gaining tremendous popularity and momentum because they ship this high-quality cannabis right to your door. So, as always, give her a warm welcome, be attentive, take notes, and if you have questions, let us know. We'll move into the Q&A section next. So, please welcome Andrea to the stage.
Hi, thank you.
All right, they're all yours.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here today. So again, I'm Andrea. I'm the founder of Sava, and I came to cannabis through my own story, which was I became injured and I started suffering from chronic pain. It was debilitating, and I turned to cannabis through after trying lots of different things, actually, and wanting something that I felt was really healing for my body. And through this journey, I've researched so many products. I've tried hundreds. I've met with so many providers and learned about their process of how they make their cannabis. And I really want to share everything that I've learned to help other people that might be going through some of the same things that I went through. And we've now worked with thousands of patients. We get so much feedback about what's working for them, what isn't working for them. And I'm hoping at the end of the day today that you'll have a sense of how to introduce cannabis for more everyday wellness and self-care. And I'll talk a little bit more about how I came to this, which is when I became injured, I wasn't able to work anymore. And it seemed like my whole life was kind of collapsing in on me. I was taking pain medicine, I wasn't able to work, and I really believed there was going to be something better for me, and I just kept looking and looking and looking for an answer. Eventually, I had a friend that was already in the cannabis industry and that introduced me to CBD tinctures and different types of flowers. And through exploring this and also implementing a really positive self-care routine for myself, I was able to get functionality back, start doing stretching and other things to help heal my body. And cannabis was a catalyst for me. It was a catalyst for my recovery and my healing process. And I'm really excited about helping people learn more about it. And I think also it doesn't always have to be for such serious conditions. We've seen people in our office also use cannabis in their day-to-day, and that it's changing how they're using cannabis for headaches and for cramps and all these types of things that they didn't really know about until they got into the industry themselves. So we know that cannabis is powerful medicine for so many things, but it can also be a part of your everyday care. So this can be your beauty routine, your self-care, your medicine cabinet, and what's also exciting is that it does not have to be psychoactive. So I'm going to really focus on things that are minimally psychoactive or not psychoactive at all, so we can really learn all about the ways that cannabis can be included in your day-to-day life. So self-care. We all look more beautiful when we are relaxed and well-rested and feel good in our bodies as best we can. So some great ways that we can use cannabis for this is bath salts and fizzers. We all know that relaxing in a bath is good for us. And a lot of times at the end of the day, when we come home to relax, we kind of sit on the couch, we watch TV, but we're not really relaxing. We're kind of checking out. So if you can just take some moments to yourself, get in a tub, draw a nice bath, to put those Epsom salts in, but you can use Epsom salts that are infused with cannabis, and you can use a cannabis lotion and topicals afterwards. So this is really good for stress, it will calm you, and then the cannabinoids do get absorbed in the skin and can be so relaxing and make you feel so good, again, with extremely minimal psychoactivity. And then you can also be doing self-massage, whether it's after a bath or first thing in the morning, taking a great lotion or oil and just rubbing it in your skin, taking a couple moments to yourself to breathe can be such a great way to just balance yourself and get that cannabis into your system. And this is great for not just the getting calm, but also any sort of muscle tension or stress in the body. Getting back to also talking a little bit more about your beauty routine is that CBD and face serum, or CBD in face serums, has a really amazing anti-inflammatory effect, anti-aging, and there's more and more people and small producers and larger producers that are making really quality beauty topicals for your face with cannabis. So doing that first thing in the morning on a clean face can really freshen your skin. There's also eye creams and stuff for around the mouth, lip balms and little creams that can help with the lines. All of these things are great and can be so soothing for your skin. And let's talk about a big thing that everyone seems to suffer from, which is headaches. In our society, we're on the computer a lot, we're busy, we're thinking a lot, we're talking about politics, and our heads get full, we get stressed, and a lot of us reach for the ibuprofen or other things that we've been taking for a really long time, but there's other things to take as well. So at the very, I kind of think of it like there's when the headache's about to start, and then when the headache is already full blown. So at the beginning of a headache, there's certain things that I do that I can find, if I can catch it in time, can really stave it off. So taking a high CBD tincture, taking a couple drops under the tongue, that can really be helpful. Or I might want to have an edible that has CBD in it. And both of those things combined with doing a self-massage with a topical that's either rich in CBD or CBD with THC, all of these things can be really good for calming the system, feeling better, and then hopefully putting that headache to bed. But sometimes we know we can't always catch it. If we're running around, you might be out and about and not have any medicine on you to help. So I find if the headache is already full blown, that then I want to bump up a little bit of that THC. So I'll take a 1-to-1 tincture. I definitely will want to make sure I'm rubbing topical into my neck and all around my shoulders. And if it's hitting me already, then I probably will want to vapor smoke something with a little bit more THC because it's going to get in my system that much faster. And if you can nap, having an edible with some THC can be a really great thing as well. But you want to make sure that you have a couple hours to just relax, take some time, and then you can wake up feeling more rested. You don't want to eat, THC in an edible if you're not going to be able to take some time for a rest or a break. Insomnia is a big issue. As we know, so many people have trouble sleeping. It's that same type of thing of the active mind, and insomnia can happen in two different ways. It can be difficult to go to sleep, and sometimes it can be difficult to stay asleep. So breaking those things down, you want to, again, have a nice self-care routine where you're calming yourself before you go to sleep. That can be dimming the lights, again, taking a bath, doing different things to help relax your body, doing some light stretching. And then you want to make sure you're also avoiding screens and then kind of get rested in bed. You can take a little vape to help you relax into the bed, give yourself some time, and then drift to sleep. If you're someone who's having more trouble staying asleep, then a different thing you might want to do is also take some edibles, as they can stay in your system longer and really help you drift to sleep. But you want to remember with edibles that they can take a certain amount of time before they affect you. So you need to plan at least an hour in advance, maybe 90 minutes, and then take in your edible and then plan for that. And then if you still need some additional help, again, you can have some flower or a vape pen of your choice. You want to make sure it's indica and that it's something that is geared and oriented towards going to sleep at night. Something that is really good for all of these things also is keeping a journal, keeping a diary. So when you're experimenting with these things, it's good to keep notes of what's working, what's not working, the different products that you're trying, because you want to find out what's working for you, and it can take a little bit of time. So we always ask for people to have some patience. This can be an exciting journey, but you also want to make sure you're being clear of what works best for yourself and your body. And a little bit more about the way that cannabis works with sleep is when we're sleeping, we go through 4 different sleep cycles. The things we know most about or talk more about is REM, which is rapid eye movement, and we all know about that because That's where we get dreams, and we're very curious about them. But the deep sleep cycle is where we're getting our deepest rest, and something that's really interesting about THC is that it can help you stay in that cycle longer. So having those THC edibles and having some THC before bed can really help with you deepen into your sleep and have your sleep be a more restful experience. Let's talk a little bit more about some specifically women-related issues like PMS and cramps and the moodiness that can come with that. It's very frustrating. I think so many of us wish it's something we didn't have to go through every month, but it is something that we go through. And I feel like I'm always wanting the best way to manage this as possible. So again, using some of these simple things like CBD tinctures can be really helpful. If you're on the go, you can use certain topicals that are lightly scented, that may not smell like cannabis at all, and something that you can just take with you. When you're at home, you might want to use a really strong topical, even if it smells like cannabis, pair it with a hot water bottle, and again, you can either soak or do some other self-massage, and all the anti-inflammatory properties of the cannabis will really help soothe your pain. You can also be taking some high CBD tinctures leading up to your cycle, because that will help with hormone regulation. And there's a lot more of these classes in the Green Flower Media Library where you can really get in depth about women's health issues and how to use cannabis for all these things. Other ways that I've dealt with PMS is eating some edibles that have CBD and having specifically chocolates that are infused with CBD or THC. It can be so soothing, like a cup of hot chocolate that is cannabis infused. Chocolate also releases wonderful chemicals in our brains, so this can be a really nice treat when you're feeling not so great and crampy and stiff, that you can just kind of cuddle up with something warm that's going to be soothing for you. And something newer that's on the market are suppositories. Euphoria is a really popular brand where you can have CBD and THC suppositories, so they are hitting you directly where your cramps are starting. If you're going to use any sort of suppository, you want to make sure that this company is tested, they're testing for bacteria. So be diligent in your research of doing some of this when you're trying some of these newer products. And let's talk about other day-to-day things like getting muscle soreness. We all want to be as healthy as possible, and muscle soreness isn't always about getting injured. It's from working out, accidentally maybe doing something extra at work that day. You wake up one day, you're sore, you don't know what happened. So again, you can reach for these topicals and then put it in a localized area. Give yourself that nice, soothing self-massage. And then a cannabis-infused topical will really help, not just with the overall skin care, but with the inflammation and both with pain. So you can, again, go back to doing a bath, using some lotion afterwards, or if you're just on the go, bring one of your small jars of a topical, rub it onto the affected area, do a little bit of stretching, and you should be good to continue with your day. And the topicals can also help with just overall skin care. So irritation and bruises. We've seen topicals be really helpful in psoriasis or any kind of skin conditions, just with the way of the anti-inflammatory nature of THC. This can be a really great and helpful thing. So I always like to keep a small jar on me no matter where I'm going, because you get dry skin or you bump yourself or all these things. It can be an immediate way to soothe yourself while you're out and about during the day. So kind of rounding back up again, I want to talk about how I stock my medicine cabinet and sort of what I would recommend as your top go-to items for yours. So you want to have some CBD tinctures. Again, these can be useful in so many different ways, and they do come in different ratios. So I always like to have a really high CBD tincture, like a 20-to-1 ratio. Treatwell makes great tinctures in this realm, or MoxyMeds has a 4-to-1 tincture, and then you also want to have 1-to-1 tinctures, and a 1-to-1 is balanced with CBD and THC. So making sure you have a couple different ratios to help you at different times is really helpful, as well as one that's specifically nighttime specific. This type of tincture will probably have extra herbs added to it that can be soothing, like kava or other herbs. And what's great is that cannabis works synergistically with many herbs as well, and it just enhances the overall nature of relaxation. As far as topicals, I always want, again, a couple different types of topicals. I want one that's CBD dominant, and then I also like having a really strong THC topical as well. And I want to make sure that what I'm carrying around with me is discreet and portable. So I'm always looking for something that's lightly scented, that's not going to be cannabis scented. Always do a little research about the lotion and make sure it's going to be the texture you like and the smell you like. And I also want my bath salts. That is one of the biggest things. It's one of the biggest treats is that I've rediscovered baths and being able to soak, and cannabis has taken baths to a whole next level. As far as edibles, I always like to keep a high CBD one, and then I also want something that's THC oriented for pain and sleep at nighttime. And kind of rounding it out is I like to have an indica vape pen or any specific strains that you've experimented with before that you found to be helpful. And again, you might want to use the strain tracker diary that Green Flower Media has. Again, going back to your notebook, doing your research. But these are all the kind of basics that I would keep around and on hand at all times. So, we're talking more about just the everyday thing. In terms of chronic disease, we know cannabis can help with all these types of things, and there are more other issues that are discussed in Green Flower classes, so you can go in depth into other issues and how to specifically use cannabis for that. So again, kind of going back, we know that cannabis can be really great for so many chronic diseases as well. What we're talking here is about your day-to-day self-care. So I would encourage you to look at some other classes in Green Flower Media's library about acute chronic illness and how to use cannabis that way. But I hope that this has been helpful for you in terms of how you can integrate cannabis into your everyday life. I know it can seem like a lot of different things, but once you start implementing and switching out into some new products, it can be so easy, and really, it's an exciting journey to learn how to manage your health in a totally new way. So thank you, and any questions, I'd love them.
That's really awesome. I think it's so important to normalize this in terms of how many ways it can be used just every day that people don't even realize. So really valuable. All right, we're gonna transition into the other part of the studio for the Q&A. We'll be back in just one sec. All right.
We're watching the world wake up to the power of cannabis. Millions are discovering that this plant will revolutionize our health and well-being, that this plant will generate billions of dollars in new income for our economy, that this plant will improve the quality of life for so many around the world. And yet, with all this excitement and enthusiasm, where do you go for trusted guidance, for credible information, for answers to your toughest questions? Welcome to Green Flower, the global leaders in cannabis education online. Our mission is to help you learn everything about cannabis from the world's top experts, anywhere, anytime. Whether you're interested in treating your health conditions with cannabis, starting or building a business inside this blossoming industry, growing high-quality clean cannabis, learning how to cook with the plant, or much more, you now have a library of credible cannabis education right at your fingertips, instantly. Be a part of the cannabis revolution. Visit learngreenflower.com.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm here with Andrea. I always want to call you Andrea Sava.
You can
Andrea
for
Brooks
today.
From Sava.
Yeah.
Good to be with you. We're talking about women in cannabis. I want to start by asking you the question, how do you coach women to not be afraid of cannabis?
Okay, so I think, again, when you're trying to do something like this, it's being clear. And then, the demystification of cannabis it's not easy. It's not like one silver bullet. But again, it's talking about, what do you want to use this for? How can this be helpful for you? And then breaking down the different ways that cannabis can be used. So it's not just this overwhelming thing that's like, oh my God, I have to learn about THC and CBD and terpenes and this and that and how this all works together. So I think just kind of showing people that this is a plant with many applications, many benefits, a couple things that may not be as ideal, and then starting with, and how best can we use it for you? And just kind of trying to break it down simply, because there's a lot to learn And yes, it can be overwhelming, but you don't need to learn everything at once.
And so where do you find, from a product standpoint, most women end up starting?
Most women end up starting with tinctures. We also do see a lot of women liking chocolate edibles. Having that nice
Women
little
like your chocolate.
Women like chocolate. I know. I hate to put it out there in a way, but we do see a lot of that. It's a great treat, especially like midday or at nighttime. But that's where we're seeing. I mean, we also see a lot of vaping and cartridges, but for a lot of women that are new to cannabis, we see them going to tinctures first.
And does it matter if it's THC alone, THC, CBD, CBD dominant? Like where do women usually start on the spectrum of which cannabinoids to choose?
I think, again, it depends on the issue. So it's not ever one size fits all. So we want to really understand the specific issues that women are trying to use, or each woman is trying to address. But CBD is often a great gateway point for women, especially if they're completely new to cannabis, are nervous about the psychoactivity. This is a way that feels safe, that's not going to get someone high, and they can start experimenting to see if this is going to work. And there's different ratios, which is wonderful. So there can be high CBD tinctures, like a 20-to-1 or 10-to-1, where there's 20 parts CBD and 1 part THC, or things like a 4-to-1, 3-to-1, or balanced. So, and those can all be used a bit differently. They might have other herbs involved. So kind of breaking it down. What does this mean? Why is there a ratio? And then starting from there. I also say, because I don't feel like topicals get enough love as they deserve. And I kind of think the reason people, if they haven't tried a topical, you don't know how good it can be. And taking a little venture in that and trying a cream or trying a soak can be so amazing. So I just always want to give topicals a little extra plug.
Yeah. I think a lot of people and women would say taking cannabis every day is crazy, right? Why would you say that that's not the case?
I think there's a lot of things that we take every day to manage our well-being that's, different people might think other people's habits are crazy. I think this is a part of everyday wellness, and to not be thinking of it as a drug, but as something that's plant-based medicine that's going to help you get through the day. So it's also when someone says taking cannabis every day is crazy, maybe they're envisioning someone who's like smoking like spliff after spliff and getting high and not being able to function and go to work. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about experimenting with low dose and also a lot of non-psychoactive applications. And again, this is part of everyday wellness. So this can be taking some tincture either before a workout or afterwards, or rubbing some infused oil after a workout and just giving yourself like that self-massage that I was talking about. This is just taking good care of oneself. And I think that's something we could all improve upon a lot in our society. It's, how many times do we make resolutions to, I want to exercise more. I want to have more yoga in my life. I want to meditate. I want to stretch. All of these things are hard, but you can always work on building a better self-care routine, and there's no reason that cannabis can't be an active part of that.
I think that a lot of women also, not just women actually, a lot of everyone has the fear that cannabis is not safe, it's highly addictive, that it might have contraindications with some of the other things I'm doing. So how do you address those kinds of concerns that are really scary for people?
Sure. Again, I think it's going back to, what does someone want to use cannabis for? What are they afraid that cannabis will happen to them? I think those are the first things. And then talking through a product really completely with someone, and finding a product where you can break down everything about it. So, finding this tincture, which is the cannabis is grown in this way, and then walking someone through all the ways that a product was created can really help someone feel safe about it. And we really want people, it is a big mission of mine to destigmatize this and make cannabis feel safe, because it can be safe. And you need to know what you're trying out.
I like destigmify. I haven't heard that before. That's cool. I like that. That just gave me a little idea. Destigmify. So you mentioned some specific products, and I'd love to hear a little bit more detail on why somebody would use these specific products. So why would somebody use bath salts with cannabis?
Okay, so I was mentioning earlier, bath salts on their own have great properties, right? And they help with inflammation and drawing toxins out of the skin. But what we can find with cannabis is, so, we have receptors both in our body and on our skin to absorb cannabis. So when you're using a topical, whether it's a lotion or a bath salt, it was, helping by going into your skin as well. And when you're doing a soak, not only does it go into your skin, but it can also absorb through, I'm totally
Suppositories.
Suppositories.
You looked a little... It's appropriate for you to talk about that here.
Well, yes, suppositories, but also, it will absorb into the body. And these are great ways that you can have extra treatment with regards to inflammation. It's more just, and it's an additional tool. It's not always in replacement of, and sometimes it can be in replacement of, but these things can work synergistically. So it's really about like boosting the relaxation or boosting the potential of battling inflammation. When you're having something that's infused with cannabis, it's kind of addressing it in different ways and helping the body in different ways.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people are quite nervous about THC, and so you get pushed into high CBD strains. I'm curious, from your experience, why would somebody actually have a better experience with a high THC product?
Sure. So with certain types of pain, it really might be necessary to have something that's high THC, or especially with sleep. And some people can get a sleepy reaction to high CBDs, but I would say overall, higher THC products are great for sleep. They help with the sleep cycle. They will keep you in that deeper sleep stage. And so again, though, when we're talking about high CBD versus high THC, again, this is a big gray area. So what could be high for someone is not high for someone else. So starting with a low dose edible, like even like pecans that are 2 to 3 milligrams of THC, but not with the CBD, for someone that's just a THC product, but it's still low dose on the spectrum. And having 2 of those can provide so much benefit. And then you're not, on another planet, you're still with yourself and can be having that benefit, but it might need to be THC sometimes. It can help with the sleep, it can help with pain. It's so good for muscle soreness and muscle tension. So I don't want people to be afraid of it. I don't want women to be afraid of it. But again, it's kind of just like dipping your toe into the water and trying a couple things first.
Have you found that the psychoactivity of THC has been also good for the way you think about yourself and your life? Has it had kind of a self-reflective quality to you that's been valuable, or no?
For me, yes. And I definitely have spoken to so many women that have had that experience, and it can produce that euphoria feeling, that bliss feeling. So I think, again, when people are talking about fear of getting high, a lot of times it's referencing potentially a bad previous experience, or
like
they've heard
an overdose, basically.
Yeah, just the unknown is scary. Or you heard of someone or a friend who had a bad experience, and who wants an unpleasant experience? No one. We're all trying to improve our lives, not make them worse. Mm-hmm. So I think it's the fear of the unknown that kind of pushes people in that direction, but you can get so much benefit from these experiences with THC, and it's good to address those too. That, like I was saying, those feelings of euphoria or bliss, or just feeling calmer, not having anxiety. So people are using THC for depression and uplifting your mood, and it's important to look at that. I don't want to just have THC dismissed.
Yeah, I'll tell you from my side, I believe there is a opportunity with THC in particular for incredible life transformation, and that I think there's a whole almost genre of content or personal development, that I would call it, of blending THC with, whether it's life coaching or personal development work, because I just think that there's some unique way this plant opens us up to looking at ourselves and the world in a different way. So hopefully one of these days that will manifest. Can you list out, if you will, the products that women could use that don't get them high? If you were to kind of like give it a list, if you will, and say, well, you could do this, and you could do this, and you could do this. That way there's an understanding of what that product landscape would look like.
Sure. So you can use high CBD tinctures, or you could use tinctures that have just the raw acids of the plant, like THCA or CBDA. So multiple types of tinctures do not have psychoactive components. Most topicals should not be bringing any sort of psychoactivity. The outlier would be if you're using a patch that has THC in it, but because then it's penetrating the blood barrier. But you can be using all of those topicals, which is lotions, creams, bath salts, all of these different things, including serums for your face or eye creams. None of those will be psychoactive. God, the list goes on. High CBD edibles or vaping high CBD concentrates. Same goes with if you're smoking high CBD flowers. Again, you want to pay attention to that ratio though, because when we're talking about what's high CBD, you're wanting something that's in the range where you're getting very minimal THC so that it's not something that you're feeling, and you need to make sure that that's clear on the package or the product.
What do you think in milligrams is the threshold of a dose where somebody will start to feel some psychoactivity with THC?
Well, it really varies per person. When we talk about low dose, there's still variance there, and everybody has a different body. So if someone really hasn't experimented with THC at all, I would really advise someone to not have more than 1 milligram to start, because you can feel that. For some people, they may not feel it at all, and for other people, they can feel it. And again, when I'm saying you can feel it, and I'm not saying you're going to be like, whoa, in the clouds, but that feeling of maybe you've had a glass of wine or just more relaxed, something like that. So when we're talking about starting low, I think start really low. Like start with 1 milligram, see how it goes.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Just quickly talk about cannabis skincare. And this is an area that's just developing. And I'm curious if you've had any personal experiences or client experiences with why somebody would use a CBD-like skincare or THC skincare.
Well, I love that this field is developing, and I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be really huge because, again, bringing it back to the fact that this is a plant with many amazing attributes, and especially if you're someone who's into natural health and you already are looking to natural ways to help your skin and you want herbal medicine and topicals like that, this is just another amazing tool to have. So we have all of the anti-inflammatory properties of CBD and THC that we know help with all these, we're talking about it helps with our nerves and with our muscles. It's great for skin irritations. All of these things can improve the skin on our face as well. It's all one big organ. So I've seen increasing serums coming on the market because it really can help with redness and inflammation, and eye creams that are coming out. We carry an amazing eye cream already, and it's just so cooling, and you feel refreshed, and it's moisturizing for your skin. And then also, I think increasing lip balms are going to be a big one. Again, it does not get you high. It has cannabis in it, unless you wanted to eat your entire lip balm, which I would not advise to do, and is not part of the suggested use. It's not gonna have psychoactivity either, but it's really good for cold sores or any of the irritation. When it's cold outside and our lips get all dry and irritated around, it's such an extra beneficial way to soothe your skin.
That's awesome. I think the topicals line and skincare line in cannabis is going to be so massive, mostly just because it's so effective, right? I mean, it can be so effective for so many different skin conditions, inflammation conditions, all that stuff. Is there any precautions for women with cannabis? Anything, whether it's contraindications with other medications, whether it's them using it at different parts of their life, maybe through menopause or later or earlier, anything that women should be aware of?
So one thing we're also seeing, which I didn't really get into, but cannabis being used as aphrodisiacs as well, and that certain formulations can really boost desire or make you feel more calm rather than being anxious when you're having an intimate situation. So if you were to use certain suppositories or sprays, you need to make sure that they wouldn't interact with condoms. So that would be one thing, maybe not exactly what you were going for, but those are things those are things I think to be aware of, that these are still containing oil and that may not work well together with other safe sex practices. In terms of the other types of day-to-day usage with like birth control, these things, it shouldn't interact with anything like that.
And is there any medications that people are taking that you have known cannabis to have a negative interaction with?
Not that we've had personal experience with, but we do work with nurses and doctors specifically. So I think if someone has very serious chronic health issues, it's really beneficial to talk with someone who's a licensed healthcare provider. And we have specific partnerships so that when someone is coming to us, we really try to work together and not just make a guess out of the blue. Especially if you're taking a lot of different things, you want to do a whole check to make sure this is going to work well with your body.
Got it. All right, a few final questions for you. So want to get personal with you for a moment around some of these categories. So you mentioned beauty as a category. So how do you personally use cannabis products for your kind of personal beauty regimens?
Sure. So some of what I mentioned already. So I do now at this point, it's evolved. I'm using it more and more. So last year I started, with the cannabis oils, I started doing self-massage, and then one day I was like, I'm just going to rub this all over my face too. And I just felt like my face felt really, had that kind of glow afterwards. And then once I started seeing serums come on the market, and some of our providers started making them too, now that's what I'm using. So I use a CBD serum, and then I use a THC-infused facial oil over that, as well as my eye cream, and I use my lip balms. And I'm doing that twice a day, and it feels amazing.
You do have very nice skin.
Thank you. And I really do feel, I'm someone who has like combination skin, and I get dry skin, and the weather's like always fluctuating and changing, and I feel like it does create a better balance for me, and that.
And has it been more effective than without cannabis?
I think so.
Yeah.
I do think so. Yeah.
Okay, then you had these three categories. You had beauty, then you had acute issues, right? Acute-based issues. So have you used cannabis in your own life for anything like that?
I use cannabis for chronic pain, which is something I've been dealing with now for about 6 years, and is something I'll probably have to manage for the rest of my life. So I am using tinctures throughout the day. I also will occasionally vape or use edibles as well. Tinctures are always like my mainstay, because for me it's a great way for me to be dosing.
And you do use CBD dominant tinctures?
I use CBD dominant tinctures, but I do, I start with a higher CBD earlier in the day, and then at night I use a 1-to-1 and bump up my THC. And then when I'm having edibles at night, they're usually THC dominant.
And what are your doses that you use for you personally?
For me personally, I keep it pretty low. I'm looking at around somewhere between 2.5 to 5 milligrams in my dosages throughout the day and at night. So yeah, that's
small,
pretty much.
That's small doses.
Small doses, but you can feel it. You can feel a lot from something small. Microdosing is a big movement right now, and learning how to integrate that into your life. And I'm able to be functional and feel well and manage my pain with those low doses. And then if I feel that my pain is increasing and I need something more, I'll usually bump up my THC a little bit.
Yeah, awesome. What do you think the cannabis movement needs most today?
Let's see, community and education. I think we are learning a lot about this plant, and there is still, maybe transparency is actually the overarching above community and education, that we need to be clear both in our relationships with each other and all about the usages of this plant and how it can be best applied to our lives.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then today, what's the most important lesson you want people to leave with from today's class?
That even though it can feel daunting, implementing cannabis into your life can be easy. Just take some baby steps and start somewhere, and then you can move on from there.
That's awesome. And where can people find your amazing store?
You can find us at www.cannabis.com. getsava.com, and you can email us at info@getsava.com.
And that's California people only at
California
the moment,
patients, yes. Unfortunately, it's just California patients at this time.
We're hoping those outdated laws change. But
Yep.
thanks so much for being here. This was
Thank
a lot of
you.
fun.
I had a great time.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you for being here with us as well. We hoped you learned something about our favorite plant. We want to continuously remind you that if you're not a Green Flower insider, it is the place to be to discover everything you need to know about this plant. If you want to learn how to use it for health reasons, if you want to learn how to use it to be a part of the industry in this blossoming space, if you want to learn the science, if you want to learn activism, if you want to take cannabis yoga classes, if you want to learn how to cook with the plant or grow the plant, Green Flower Insider is this unbelievable resource, just full of thousands and thousands of dollars of cannabis education. And the best news is it's less than the price of a pizza a month, and you can always cancel at any time. So please join us. It also comes with an incredible community where you can have real conversations with real people from around the world about everything cannabis related. And it's a place for you to ask your questions and get guidance and really have a safe space to talk about this plant. So join us as an insider and continue to check learngreenflower.com on a weekly basis for all the interesting new stuff we have going on. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Welcome to Green Flower Insider, an exclusive online membership that gives you unlimited access to an ever-growing library of credible cannabis classes from the world's top experts anytime you want. No matter where you are in the world, you can learn how to use cannabis as medicine, find the perfect cannabis dose, start your own cannabis business, make your own cannabis-infused edibles, oils, and tinctures, and so much more. Plus, you'll become an exclusive member of our Insider community, where you can talk about everything cannabis with people you trust and respect. Ask your questions and get trustworthy answers. Exchange ideas on important cannabis topics like changing the laws or getting safe access. Discover resources to help you grow better cannabis. Or start your own cannabis business. And connect with other like-minded cannabis enthusiasts who transcend the outdated stigma. Yes, this is the cannabis community you've been looking for. So sign up now and become a Green Flower Insider today. A world of credible cannabis education is right at your fingertips. Visit learngreenflower.com